I say we can go ahead and get started. So, hello everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Tiara Steffen, and I am the product marketing coordinator on the Qgiv by Bloomerang team. I'm super excited to be chatting with you all about fundraising data, donor data, and how to harness it to improve your fundraising performance. So first, a few housekeeping notes. We are recording the webinar, so everyone will receive an email tomorrow afternoon with a link to the session, as well as some additional resources. Please feel free to use the chat like you have been for any general discussion and to talk with your fellow fundraisers who are on the webinar today. And if you have any questions, we'd love to hear them. You can add those into the Q&A tab in the chat, and we'll answer them at the end of the webinar. Now, if you're having trouble with the Q&A tab, don't even worry about it. Just drop your questions in the chat. Our team will keep track of them, and we'll answer those at the end as well. And if you use social media, please feel free to share any highlights or your favorite takeaways from the webinar and give us a follow. So, like I said, my name is Tiara. I'm the product marketing coordinator on the Qgiv by Bloomerang team. I've been with Qgiv by Bloomerang for about 3 years now. I love researching fundraising best practices and helping nonprofits level up their fundraising game. And outside of work, you can often find me at a concert, watching movies, playing trivia, or hanging out with my senior dog. And now I'm going to pass it over to Margie, who is our other presenter today, so she can go ahead and introduce herself.
Well, thank you so much, Tiara. I'm so glad to be here today. I'm Margie Worrell. I'm the curriculum manager for Bloomerang, and I have served for the past several years on a board with Peace Learning Center here in Indianapolis. And I've worked with nonprofits as a lead volunteer and also as a staff member, so I understand your world. I love education, my 2 grown children, and I also have an elderly dog that I love to hang out with. And Tiara, I hope they don't chime in today. Sometimes they chime in, they get really excited about webinars.
No worries. I love a dog that loves webinars, so I'm looking forward to hearing them on this call.
Awesome.
Amazing. All right. Well, let's go ahead and dive in and start with why data is so important. So, besides the obvious benefits of tracking your fundraising success and providing your organization with a sense of direction for making strategic fundraising decisions, the data you collect offers lots of information to improve your marketing and donor retention efforts. So, things like segmentation, a donor's giving potential, and lapsed donor reports, all of these things provide critical information in order for you to improve your fundraising overall. So the first reason why data is so important is that it provides critical insights into your fundraising efforts so you can make more informed decisions while fundraising. Data is a lot of different pieces that can be used to build something special, and it's important that your organization takes the time to identify the most critical data points that will help you effectively monitor success. So with data, you can monitor the performance of fundraising campaigns and events. I know that this is a super obvious thing that data can help you do, but it will ultimately show if a campaign or event was successful. The most important part here is that the data will tell you why it was successful or not. Now, this will also help you make better fundraising decisions with strategies backed by data. So some important questions that can be answered here are, did this campaign message work? Did I send my appeals through the appropriate channels? Am I reaching the right audience? Now, finally, you can use this data to improve relationships with donors. How? Well, you can send personalized communications, make sure you're sending appeals through the right channels, and also keep donors informed about how their gifts are being used. Now, the second reason why data is important is that data tells a story. Now, data without proper presentation is kind of just a giant mess. It's really confusing and it can feel really daunting to try and untangle it to make any sense out of it. But when you sort your data and you arrange it, you can gain basic insights into your donors and determine the success of your fundraising campaigns or events. So giving context to your data will help you break it down and make sure everyone in your organization understands it so you're all on the same page when working towards your fundraising goals. The ultimate objective is to properly present your data and tell the story. Data without a story is just a bunch of numbers, but tying in all aspects of your campaigns and events will help you truly understand, organize, and use all of your data. So now that we've established the importance of data, this is what we're going to be covering today in this presentation. We're going to talk about what kind of data you need to be looking at, how to use data to improve your fundraising. We're going to go over some tips to help you manage your data, and then take a look at how Bloomerang and Qgiv can help you keep your data organized and manage it. And we'll be going over all of this, starting off by building a data house. Now, I know that data can feel really overwhelming, especially if you've got a lot of it, but it's not impossible to go through and organize, I promise. Just like the process of taking a bare plot of land and turning it into a house brick by brick, it's really important to take a step-by-step approach with your data to get to your end goal. Building a house isn't accomplished overnight, and neither is building and visualizing your data. So let's go ahead and get to building. Well, before you start collecting data, you're not working with much to base your fundraising strategy decisions off of. But that's not to say there isn't the potential for something great to happen in a bare landscape. Without data, there is little structure or insight, but the plot of land you have is just waiting to be transformed into something so much more meaningful. Now, at this point, you may not have any substantial data to really work with, but you can start collecting what you need to build something great. When you're building a house, you start by building the foundation. So a sturdy foundation brings longevity and a firm place to stand when times get tough. When it comes to data, you need the proper systems in place to serve as the bedrock for effective data collection and management. Firstly, that includes picking the right fundraising software and CRM. Not only do these platforms help you fundraise more effectively and keep track of your donors, but they are also great sources of data. And with them, you can store, track, and analyze information about your donors, volunteers, and all other stakeholders all in one centralized place. That way, you can easily monitor fundraising campaigns, track your donor interactions, and identify trends or patterns over time and use all of that information to maximize your fundraising potential. Next, you can also include tracking platforms like Google Analytics and Facebook Pixel. These tools are especially useful for understanding the behavior of the people who visit your nonprofit's website. So, for example, you can see a donor's journey through your website up until they complete a donation and determine what pages they visited that made them actually decide to give. And if you run any sort of digital campaigns that include ads, you can also use these platforms to understand the effectiveness of those campaigns, like which ads brought in more donors. Now, it's important to establish data policies and procedures around the platforms you choose to use so everyone on your team understands how data should be handled. You want to ensure that data is complete and accurate, it's entered consistently, you're avoiding duplicates, sending the right acknowledgements and communications, and know how to use reporting tools correctly. And it's important to collect all types of data. While it's really helpful to know how much you've raised and how many donations you've gotten, it's also important to collect data from your donors so you can engage with them more effectively and build those long-lasting relationships with them. So let's go over the kinds of data you want to be collecting. It's essential to know what kind of data is most important and relevant for your organization to collect and keep track of. Some of this important data includes the total amount you raised, total donations, and your total donors and event attendees. This is all great information to collect to determine how your campaigns and events did. Now, a simple tip here, you can break your reports down by week or month to see if you perform better during certain times of the year or to see if a specific campaign message boosted your totals there. You also want to collect data about new donors and recurring donors, new event attendees and returning event attendees, and one-time and recurring donations. The data you collect from those donors and donations can help you better understand what inspires donors to give to your organization for the first time or attend an event, and what inspires donors to continue their relationship with your organization. So, did a specific campaign bring a specific group of donors to your organization? What do all of your one-time donors and recurring donors have in common? Collecting data can help you answer those questions and make those data-backed decisions. And finally, you want to keep track of your donors' preferred payment methods. Donors are less likely to give to your organization if they don't have the option to give with the payment method they want to use. So, do a lot of your donors like to give with credit cards over cash? Do they like to use digital payment wallets? By better understanding your donors' preferences and catering to them, they'll be more likely to continue to donate to your organization. So now that we have the tools we need to collect and store data, and we've identified the data that we need to track, how do we arrange it and make it make sense? Well, this is the next step in building our story with data. We need to be able to read it. That way you can understand what went well with your fundraising campaigns, what didn't, what you should do to improve next time, and super importantly, we need to be able to compare our results across different fundraising campaigns over time. So what does that look like? Well, there are a couple of different scenarios to address here. One is that this is a brand new campaign or event, and we want to know what went well and what didn't. Another scenario is that this is an annual campaign or event where we want to be able to improve our fundraising performance year over year. In both of these scenarios, we need to be able to compare our performance to something. So if you're looking at an annual campaign or event, it's pretty easy to compare what you did last year versus this year and then see those results. Now, if it's a new campaign, the best way is to find a similar campaign or event and compare their performance. So the best similar would be comparing by type of campaign, such as comparing virtual fundraisers to other virtual fundraisers, in-person events to other in-person events, and various appeals for year-round fundraising, and so on. This should provide you some key insights into performance, even if the fundraisers weren't similar sizes. As you wrap your heads around these data points, it's important to have the data from these campaigns available in a quick view, like with dashboards or a collection of reports in your fundraising software or CRM platform. So create reports with your data and then create a dashboard for each type of fundraiser you host to view all of that data super quickly at a glance. So for example, you can create a dashboard for all of your year-round campaigns, another one for your year-end campaigns, your peer-to-peer events, auction events, and so on. Use the reporting tools available to you to see this data quickly and at a holistic level, but also with the ability to drill down into how a specific event or appeal performed. You can use different views in your dashboards and reports to see how your campaigns performed over time or compared to a similar campaign. So, for example, you can set filters to view your year-round campaign's performance over a certain date range this year compared to your year-round campaign's performance over that same date range last year to assess the success of your current year-round campaign and make adjustments as needed. So you've got the numbers, the tools, and you've organized everything to be able to view your data in a way that's easy to digest and understand. But while you may have some nice tables and graphs to look at, you really just got some nice numbers there. So to round things out, it's important to pair the data you've collected with context. So let's say that, for example, you look at your data comparing last year's year-end fundraising campaign to the year prior, and the data you collected shows that you raised more, had bigger donations, and brought in more new donors than the year before. So why did that happen? It's important to look at all the things you did that differed between the campaigns to better understand why last year's campaign performance improved over the year before. So did you send more appeals than you did the year prior? Did you change the send cadence of your appeals? Well, maybe you sent fewer appeals, but you made them more impactful, motivating your donors to make bigger donations. Now you've learned something about your donors' preferences. Now, did you send your appeals over new communications channels? Did you maybe focus more on email campaigns and digital fundraising instead of direct mail? Did you introduce text fundraising into your strategy? Maybe you connected with your donors more directly via text, which made them more inclined to donate. Some other questions. Did you change your messaging? Maybe you added visuals like photos and videos to your appeals that resonated with your audience and made them more motivated to donate last year. And what audiences did you target? Maybe you used social media to connect with your Gen Z and millennial donors and found that you received many small donations and targeted older donors with email and direct mail appeals and received fewer donations but bigger donation amounts. Well, now that you've taken a look at all of the strategies you used between the last 2 years of your year-end fundraising campaigns, you can plan a great year-end fundraising campaign this year or next year that includes all of the strategies that made you successful last year and improve upon the strategies that need improvement. You have to provide context to your data to more effectively fundraise by figuring out where to concentrate your efforts and what strategies to use. So there you have it. This is our data story from beginning to end. First, you want to decide on the tools you're going to use to collect and manage your data. Next, you need to identify the most important types of data you want to track and collect. Then you have to organize your data so it's easy to view and understand for everyone on your team who works with data and makes fundraising decisions. And finally, you have to provide context for all of the data you collect to put it into action and improve your fundraising strategy. So while data can be overwhelming, by breaking it down this way, it becomes much more manageable and you can gain actionable insights that help you fundraise better. Now, if you want to take your fundraising data to the next level, there's some additional data you can collect and use to elevate your organization's strategic approach by understanding key donor metrics. First one is you want to monitor your supporter engagement to better connect with your donors. So for example, a donor that's volunteered with your organization for an event could be interested in volunteering for that same event in the future. So you can make sure to reach out to those previous volunteers in future years. Monitoring supporter engagement also helps you stay on top of your at-risk or lapsed donors. These are donors that have stopped or might stop donating to your organization. These donors may have stopped opening your emails or clicking on the links that you send. So by keeping track of your donors' interactions with your organization, you can send targeted appeals to these individuals and hopefully keep them or win them back. You can also keep track of your donors' generosity and giving capacity to refine your messaging to different donor groups and target your appeals more effectively. You can determine this with a wide number of factors, including demographic information, location, and giving history. Retention rates are also important to gauge whether you are retaining donors year over year. It's much cheaper to keep a donor than it is to acquire a new one. If retention rates are low, then your organization should look into starting a retention program to increase your donor retention. Another simple tip here, retention rates are a really good indication of how your campaign messaging is resonating with your donors. So if your retention rates are decreasing, you want to find out why and then make adjustments to your messaging as needed. Finally, do you know how many donors you have in each of the donor levels? Small, mid-level, and major. This is a great data insight to collect to show how your donors prefer to give. As a pro tip, take a look at your different donor levels year over year. You want to monitor any increases or decreases in each category. Donors in the small to mid-level ranges may have the capacity to give more now. And if you lost a major donor, you want to find out why and see if you can get them back. Now, I want to give you a brief overview of everything you can do with Qgiv by Bloomerang's data tools. If you're unfamiliar with fundraising software and the data capabilities that come with it, these are all features that you should be looking out for when you're searching for the right data tools that work for your organization. The first feature I want to highlight is customizable dashboards. Now, if you don't want to have to create a dashboard from scratch, or you just need more time to set up your own dashboards but want to get started with your fundraising data ASAP, you can select from some pre-configured dashboards to get set up super quickly. You can also add more data insights to these pre-configured dashboards to tailor them to your needs. However, if you already know what data you want to keep tabs on and know you need to view quickly, you can select from a long list of data insights and create your own custom dashboards. And to take things a step further, if there are multiple people on your team that deal with your nonprofit's data, but in different capacities, you can create and maintain separate custom dashboards for every user based on their data needs. So if you have event coordinators that need to monitor different insights than maybe your accounting team, everyone can create custom dashboards with all the data relevant to their specific roles. Now, in terms of those data insights that you can choose from to create your dashboards, Qgiv has tons of data insights you can track. Whatever metrics your organization wants to track, you'll likely be able to find them in this list. You can display the exact data you want by adding, deleting, or rearranging data insights, all to create dashboards with your data organized in the way that makes the most sense for your organization at any given time. Now, when you first start dealing with data, building your own data reports might feel a little bit daunting. And that's why having a library of pre-built reports can be so helpful. Your organization can hit the ground running when using data to help inform your decisions, quickly pulling the most important standard data insights your team needs whenever you need them. Qgiv by Bloomerang has an extensive library of pre-built reports with the most important data you should be tracking all ready to go, like recurring donor reporting, donation and event-specific reporting, which includes reports on your peer-to-peer and auction fundraisers, text giving reporting, both for your inbound keyword texts and outbound communications, and store and badge reporting for your peer-to-peer campaigns. Now, if you know the data you want to track, you can start building custom reports with detailed filters and the fields you want to view. And when I say custom, I really do mean custom. You can change column headers, build reports specific to job roles, and add, remove, and rearrange any fields to make your reports easier to read and understand. Now, if you have integrations with any third-party applications that necessitate the inclusion of any static fields in your reports, it's simple to just add them. You can save all of your custom reports to revisit them at any time, so there's no need to go back and keep rebuilding those reports every time you want to see your data. And if you have any data you know you want to track ahead of a campaign, just set up the report ahead of time. Now, to make it just that much easier to track donations and how well your appeals and campaigns are performing, you can add qualifiers to the end of any Qgiv URLs. If a donor goes to make a gift from a newsletter, a social media ad, or any other source that you've added a qualifier to, that qualifier will map to the associated info field for that donor's gift. That way, you can easily see what specific resources or campaigns are engaging your donors and bringing donations in. And it's super easy to set up as well. Qgiv also offers access to more advanced donor statistics like at-risk donors, the churn rate of your donors, your donor lifetime value, lapsed donors, new donors, and retention rates. You can add any of these statistics to your dashboards for a more comprehensive picture of your organization's relationship with your donors and to enhance your appeals and fundraising performance. Now, do you receive a lot of cash and check donations? Well, fundraising software isn't just for organizations that fundraise online. You can still record donations and interactions with any donors that prefer to give via cash, check, and any other offline donation methods. Qgiv by Bloomerang has a simple template you can use to upload those offline transactions in batches to save you a lot of time. You and your team can also record these donations or in-person interactions at events or on the fly using the mobile virtual terminal. Now, comparing forms is also a breeze with the built-in form comparison tool. There are lots of things you can do with this tool. Firstly, you can compare your campaigns year over year. So if you see an increase or a decrease in donations, you want to think about what you did differently this year versus last and find the root cause of the changes. You can also compare the performance of your different forms. So if you're running multiple campaigns simultaneously with different fundraising forms, you can compare the performance of those forms to see which ones are bringing in more donations and figure out how to boost the performance of those forms that are underperforming. And you can also run A/B tests with your donors. A/B testing is a great way to see how the changes you make impact your success. With A/B testing, you send two different versions of an email or some kind of communications to two different groups of your donors to see which version is more engaging and brings in more donations. With all of the data you collect from the tool, you'll be able to determine the commonalities between all of your successful forms and events and use that information to build better forms and events in the future. Now, Qgiv by Bloomerang also offers integrations with email marketing platforms, matching gift software, and third-party analytics tools. And with Zapier, you can send data to thousands of other services as well. Our full suite of integrations automates administrative tasks and makes it super easy for you to share all of your data across all of the tools you already use without manual data entry to save your team time and free them up to focus on all the tasks that will maximize your fundraising potential. Now, I want to highlight the Bloomerang and Qgiv integration. This integration makes it super easy to automatically sync fundraising data and donor data between Bloomerang CRM and Qgiv's fundraising software. So your team can spend less time on manual entry and see all of your important data insights all in one place. All you have to do is set up the integration, choose the fields you'd like to sync between platforms, set how frequently you'd like the sync to run, and then just leave it to do its job. So now that we've got Bloomerang on the mind, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Margie so she can give you an overview of the benefits of having a donor database, as well as the data tools that Bloomerang's donor management software includes to help you build those stronger and longer lasting donor relationships.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tiara. I really appreciate it. It's wonderful to see all of the amazing things that people can accomplish, and I really love that house analogy. So I would love to go ahead and start talking a little bit about Bloomerang. As Tiara said, we are a system that integrates very well with Qgiv, and I wanted to show you this graphic just to kind of level set a little bit and help you understand how we function together. So as you can see, here is your nonprofit, and you are surrounded by resources that can help you. The part that Tiara was just talking about was the Qgiv fundraising component. I'm going to be focusing more on the CRM component. And the reason why is because that wonderful house that Tiara was building with data is only as useful as the tools that you can implement in order to understand your data and utilize it. So what I'd really like to talk about today is just starting off, what is a donor database? And most of you probably know this information. It comes under a lot of aliases. People talk about it with different alphabet soup, but you can sometimes hear it called a CRM or a DMS or an RMS, but it's really all the same thing. Most people think of it as a data repository, as a place to store data, but we like to think of it as so much more. It really can be another team member for you if you're utilizing it correctly. So today I want to go into some insights around that. I have linked an article here from our blog that'll be really useful to you. A lot of the information I'm pulling came from this article, but the article will go much more in depth, so I encourage you to engage with it later. So housing data that's important to your work in one platform is so beneficial in so many ways. And I'm just going to focus on a few of those ways. One of those is data centralization. So data centralization means that instead of having disparate platforms, disparate areas where you go to look at your data, you can have everything inside one area, one source of truth. The reason that this is so important is that it improves accuracy and efficiency for your organization. Every time you touch data, you run the risk of corrupting it. And so if you have many different systems, a plethora of platforms that you're using, and you're having to import data from here or there, or worse yet, enter it manually, there is a lot of opportunity for and a lot of risk for things to be inaccurate. So if you can have that centralized source of truth, it's going to help you stay accurate. It's also more efficient. I've worked for organizations before where you would sit and think, okay, now where is that data? Which system is it in? And you would have to go and search for it. You might have to log into a different system. There's a lot of time value to having everything in one place as well. Another key component that we think is a benefit of having kind of a centralized data hub is personalized donor outreach. When you can get to know your donors and have information on them and really be able to utilize that when you reach out to them, it really speaks to them. A recent study indicated that 80% of respondents said that they would be more likely to stay loyal to a brand if the brand reached out in a personalized way. And if you think about that, that's 8 out of 10 people that are more likely to stay with your organization and fundraise and help you really accomplish your mission just because you personalize the way that you reach out to them. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about some ways to do that too as we go through this. But it really helps with getting your stakeholders to respond. And then, of course, reporting capabilities. If you have data in different systems, it becomes really challenging to be able to run those reports and to be able to look at your data in those comparative ways that Tiara was just talking about. So it's important to have all of your data in one area so that it can improve your decision making, and it can also improve your understanding of your work and your progress towards your goals. So I'm going to start talking a little bit about what to look for inside a donor database. But what I would love for you to do is, as I'm talking about this, drop in the chat and let me know what you don't see here that you think is an important component for a donor database. So some of the things that we like to highlight: robust supporter profiles. The reason that this is so vitally important goes right back to what we were just talking about: communicating in a personal way and developing those relationships with your donors and your constituents. If you don't know information about your supporters, it's very hard to reach out to them in a personalized way. You want to have a data system that allows you to not only have those insights, but be able to find them, organize them, and use them in a really meaningful way. Which brings me to the next point, which is easy segmentation of your supporters. When you reach out, it's really amazing to be able to look at your supporters in large groups, in segments, and customize your messaging to those particular groups. That way you get a much higher response rate, and it's a very focused and intentional way of reaching out to certain audiences and being able to respond to them in a way that makes sense to them. And then, of course, scalability is another thing you want to think about. Where you are right now as an organization is not where you're going to be in 2 years or in 5 years. You want to be thinking about, how can this donor database expand? How can we build upon it? Some things to think about are: does it integrate well? Is it simple to make integrations with other platforms should we need to? And does it offer us the kind of depth that we're going to need to have as we move forward and hopefully progress and grow? Some nice to haves that are call outs here: integrated giving potential insights. So this is really talking about being able to look at some wealth insights. And A lot of times when we talk to organizations, they think about this around major giving. I like to think of it as more of a way of being very, and I think Tiara kind of referred to this earlier, being very intentional with our asks. So when we are reaching out to a donor, it's important that we are asking for support at an appropriate level. You don't want to ask so much that the donor feels like you don't understand them and you don't know where they are as far as their ability to give. You don't want to ask so little of someone who's able to give more and have them perhaps be leaving money on the table. So it's great to know where is that donor in their ability to give. Another nice to have is an engagement meter to track affinity for your organization. How engaged is this donor? And another thing that's really great about having that engagement meter is if you look at that at scale, if you start running reports on your donors that aren't engaging with you as much, that perhaps are sliding off. In Bloomerang, we call them cold and cool supporters. If they are starting to slide off and they aren't interacting as well with you, it gives you that opportunity to reach out to them in a very focused way and say, hey, we want to know what's going on. Maybe ask for feedback. So it's a really useful tool on an individual level, but it's also a useful tool on a scalable level as well. Built-in email marketing. I think this is really wonderful, and it's a great way to be able to personalize your messaging. When you think about it, if it's built into your data system, any data that you have inside your system about your particular constituents or donors, you're going to be able to pull that in through merge fields to your email communications and be able to make very personalized types of communications to them. You'll be able to call upon when they gave last and what that gift was. Where did they intend for that gift to go to? You're going to be able to pull in anything that you have stored within your system. You're going to be able to pull that into your email communications and really demonstrate that you know who they are, how they gave, and why they gave. And then finally, goal progression that's easily accessible. This is really important so that you are always tracking where are we right now in our goals on our campaigns. And that's one of the things that I love in Bloomerang is we have a dashboard where you can easily see your progress towards your campaigns. And another thing is you can click in and get a detailed report. So you can see at a high level, you can also click in and see at a much more detailed level. So I would love it if you would say, is there anything that I missed that was important to your organization? If you want to drop those into the chat, that would be great. Because one of the things we know is that no two organizations are alike. Every one of you have different needs depending on who you serve, how you serve, what your mission is. So when you are thinking about this, here's just kind of a step-by-step simple process to be following as you are considering a CRM. So take an inventory of your current software. Are you taking advantage of all the existing pieces within that software? And if not, maybe it's time to seek out training around utilizing all of the areas. It's one of the things I love because it's kind of where I am mostly engaged within Bloomerang is we do offer training with our CRM so that we are able to show you all of the existing potential, but make sure that you are taking advantage of the full potential within your system. And then think about what features of your current software solutions do you like the most? What is it that you really feel you need that you can't let go of? Kind of the non-negotiables, right? Identify what functionality is missing. If you are not feeling that your CRM is working to its full potential, if it's not being a good team member to you, why not? What is it that's missing? And what is it that you need? And then decide what features are going to fill in the holes inside of what you just identified. Write those down and really be looking for those. Be very intentional about seeking those out. So let's look at it now that you've decided what system you're going to use, what donor database you're going to use. How can you make the most of it? How can it be a really great team member for you? Well, one of the things that you can consider is leveraging integrations. And when you're doing that, you want to think about having a seamless data flow from your tools into your CRM. Your CRM is really your source of truth. And then any of your integrations should have a data flow into your CRM at the minimum, and your CRM should probably have a data flow back out. So look for that when you are considering integrations. Why are integrations important? Remember what we just talked about. As you're growing, you need to be considering scalability. Integrations allow for scalability. They are ways of expanding what you currently have and how you currently serve. So it's important that integrations be a part of the CRM or the donor database. You want to use any built-in automation tools that exist within the platform itself. Automation is going to save you time and money. It is your friend. You do have to go in and set it up in the first place, but what you save in time and money afterwards is really important. And going along with that, tracking your overarching progress. We talked about the dashboard, but also look and see, can you schedule and send reports to be able to lift that workload off of your staff? We know that our nonprofit staff is overworked, has too many hats, too many jobs. That's an automation that you can utilize, that you don't have to then have a staff member going in and sending reports. They can be automated inside your system. Now, I am going to talk about some of those components we just discussed within a CRM and show you some examples. And of course, I'm going to show you them in Bloomerang because I feel that it is one of the best systems to really demonstrate how to provide value. So as far as donor relations are concerned, we provide you with a donor profile, and these profiles allow you to manage information around each one of your donors. So you can see their giving history. You are also able to see their engagement level. And as you can see here, George Bailey is really on fire for our organization. He engages with us a lot. He does a lot of volunteering. He opens our emails. He may be a board member. So he has a lot of interaction with us. Now, when I look at his generosity score, this is that wealth insight that we were just talking about, which we provide through Donor Search. You can see that he may not be able to give monetarily as much, but he is very passionate about our cause. When you put these two together, you're able to really gain a lot of insight into how you want to steward this donor. So those are a couple of the features that we offer. We also offer ability to see their donation history, their volunteer hours, any interactions, engagement level and generosity score, their relationships to others and also their households, and then custom field data. This is one of my favorites. Anything that's important to your organization, you're able to enter it as a custom field and then utilize that information moving forward to help segment your donors. And speaking of segmentation, we make this super easy for you with our custom fields so that you can gather that data and record it inside your database. But you can also take your like donors and put them into groups. There's a couple of really great reasons to utilize groups. One of them is you're able to send out communications quickly and easily. You're able to really send out any kind of emails through utilizing groups. You're also able to see analytics about this group. So you're able to look and see what kind of demographic and giving information they have as a group so that you're able to really focus in. And for example, let's say that I am running an animal shelter. I could find out who likes cats. I could have a cat group. I could have a dog group. I could have a guinea pig group. So I could be able to communicate more effectively around what's important to my donors. And then reports made easy. We start off with pre-built report templates that are super robust. Filters are already built out. You just plug it in and go. And you can also customize the data in the filters to make it your own. But we don't stop there. We also make it so that you can schedule these reports to go out to certain people at certain times so that you can have it go out monthly, yearly, quarterly, and you don't even have to touch it. It's automated. You put in the people you want it to go to, and it just sends. So this is a really great automation feature as well, so that you're lifting the workload off of people within your organization. We talked a little bit about scalability and integrations. We really do offer a lot of native integrations. These are built into our system, built into the CRM. And this is Donor Search, which is our Wealth Insight. True Givers gives you information on correct addresses, but it also offers a plethora of information on your donors that you might be able to load into your platform as well. Of course, Qgiv, Grativid, which is a video feature that is fully integrated, so it records on your constituents' profiles. QuickBooks, everyone knows QuickBooks, and of course, Constant Contact and MailChimp. But not just the native integrations. If there's something that you want to integrate, you can also integrate through Zapier, and we love Zapier. It makes it so that you can integrate just about anything. There's thousands of integrations that you can utilize. And of course, we have system add-ons. We know that not every nonprofit is going to need all of the features that we offer. So we keep our system very simple. We make it so that you can add on volunteer. If you are an organization that really uses volunteers and needs a robust system, you can add that on. If you need a really hardy and robust system around online giving, you can add on Qgiv by Bloomerang as well. So that was a quick run through of how to make your database another team member that can really help you out. And I'm going to turn it back over to Tiara to go ahead and finish out our webinar today.
Thank you so much, Margie. That was such a great overview of everything that Bloomerang's donor management software has to offer. And thank you to everyone for joining today. We're going to get to Q&A here in just a minute. But first of all, earlier this year, Qgiv joined the Bloomerang team to offer a modern giving platform that puts relationships at the heart of fundraising. This combined solution unifies your donors' activities, giving you the power to acquire new donors, cultivate impactful relationships, and maximize the potential of your donor communities. Now, if you're interested in learning more and you are a current Qgiv by Bloomerang customer, feel free to email us at support@qgiv.com with any questions you have about Qgiv by Bloomerang's online fundraising tools and the Bloomerang acquisition. If you're not a Qgiv by Bloomerang client and you're curious about using the Qgiv or Bloomerang platforms, it's really easy to request a demo. Just go to qgiv.com/demo-request and fill out the form. And if you're looking for more best practices, visit qgiv.com/blog or bloomerang.co/blog and check out our collection of fundraising blogs and free resources for you and your team. And now let's go ahead and move on to our Q&A. Awesome. Looks like we've got a couple questions here. First one, how do you account for donations that are not made online? How do you include offline donations into data sets? Justin or Brittany, do either of you want to take this one?
I can take this.
So we were kind of talking. Yeah, go for it.
Are you going, Justin?
Go for it.
So there's a couple of options here. So if you are just using the Qgiv by Bloomerang fundraising suite of tools, you can actually enter offline gifts in what we call our virtual terminal. So those are actually recorded in the Qgiv reporting and the insights if you are not actually processing those online via like credit card or ACH or whatever like that. However, if you are using the Qgiv by Bloomerang fundraising suite of tools and the CRM, we really want to make sure that that CRM, like that's your Bible, like that is the truth, that's everything. That's going to kind of count for every piece of it, whether it's out of the Qgiv by Bloomerang fundraising suite, or if you're using other tools to track those gifts that aren't being made online. And Margie, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about that on the Bloomerang side. That's it for me.
Thanks, Brittany. Yeah, so we do like to think of keeping that one source of truth, as we were talking about earlier. So you can manually enter any donations within, and you can also import donations within the Bloomerang system as well. So if you have offline donations, it's a very simple process to be able to do those one at a time. If it's a check someone mailed you, or if you had an event that was offline, you can also import those as well.
Awesome. Thank you both. Somebody is also asking, what kind of initial training do you offer with your CRM installation? Is it just a written resource, or is there any personal training or live education with a real person? Margie, I think this
Well,
one's you.
I didn't pay them to ask this question, but my very favorite thing is education. So I am super excited to say that we have a learning management system called Bloomerang Learning, and it is on-demand education, and it is we are building it out right now, and it is very robust. I've used that word a lot today, but it's powerful. It has a lot of information in it, and it has a getting started path, especially for people who are just starting out. We also have our support team. We also have onboarding coaches. We also have coaching and consulting. So we offer you, what we want is to really help you be successful and have a really great start. So we do really focus heavily on making sure that you come into the CRM feeling comfortable and ready to really take it on and use it.
Amazing. Jennifer wants to know, is there a way to see report data of a specific Qgiv form's website views or landing page views? Brittany,
I can
do
take
you
that
know
one.
this one?
Yeah,
Awesome.
so we can integrate with Google Analytics, Facebook Pixels, all of that stuff. You would just need to email that the analytics, the code, the GTM container, any of the information that you're actually trying, whatever analytics tool that you're using, you can send that on over to support@qgiv.com, and then we can add that on the back end. There's not a native out of the box integration with Google Analytics yet on the Qgiv side, but I'll leave that yet to kind of think about that for some future exciting announcements.
Yes, a very imminent future announcement. So keep your eyes peeled for that for sure. Jason wants to know, is there a way to record in-kind donations?
I can take that. So within our Bloomerang CRM, there's absolutely a way to record in-kind donations. We know that those need to be treated separately, specially, and we have a very good system for that. And it is reportable so that you're able to look and see where your in-kind donations have happened. So yes.
Amazing. Somebody wants to know, is there a way to trigger a letter or report after a transaction is entered in Bloomerang?
Yes, there is. We actually have automated receipting. So you can do automated receipting. You can do it as an email. You can do it as a letter. If you do it as a letter, when you hit save on the donation, that letter will just automatically print out. So we know how important it is to be able to recognize the donations that are given. And so we've developed that as part of our platform.
Awesome. Janelle wants to know, we use letterhead. Is there a way to have the letter created in Word instead of a PDF?
So the answer is not at this time. It really will create a PDF for you, and I know that that's something that isn't always everyone's favorite, but you are able to, Janelle, go in and actually recreate your letterhead if you're able to just print on plain paper, you can recreate your letterhead inside of Bloomerang and save that as a template, and then create your letters inside there and have the same look that you would if you were using letterhead.
Your dogs are very excited about that answer, I can tell.
They love letters, and they're very, very excited about PDF versus Word. They get excited about that.
Love that. Oh my God, they're so intelligent,
They
truly.
are, truly.
All righty. Are there any other questions that anybody has? We got so many great ones already, so feel free to add any others in. I'm going to leave a nice little pause here just to make sure that we've got everybody's questions answered. All right, cool. We're looking good, looking like we're in the clear. Awesome. So everybody, I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday, and we'll see you soon. So thanks for attending. Bye.